Fulfilling his promise of a return visit to the City of Excellence was the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji. After inaugurating the Humanitarian Assistance Center for Internally Displaced Persons in BUEA, the minister came this time around to discuss practical modalities and guidelines on how the humanitarian center is going to be run. The working session, which commenced at the Conference Hall of the Southwest Governor's Office, was graced with the presence of foreign partners led by the Resident Coordinator of the United Nations System and Humanitarian Coordinator in Cameroon, Allegra Biochi, who came with her team to put in place a new framework of collaboration, which is going to be based on transparency, accountability, and mutual understanding. While discussing the practical modalities on how to distribute the humanitarian aid in the southwest and northwest regions of the country, the minister said the items will be strictly given to internally displaced persons and not terrorists.
We came to commission the members to give them guidelines how to do the operations on the field. Most of the time we have had misunderstandings. We had to rebuild some confidence and put down well laid down principles. So we gave them a document which we call practical modalities, which is the Bible of the operations on the field, which has to do with transparency, which has to do with accountability, and which has to do with some mutual understanding. As you understand, the policy of humanitarian action is put in place by the government. Then our partners come and assist us in a project which has been put in place. They have the constraints of being neutral, but neutrality has to do with transparency. So we have shared out this information. The center will be the focal point, the entry point. When you leave the regions, you do registration in the center.
He added that on Thursday, more than 40 loaded trucks of humanitarian aid will be sent to the regions and will first of all arrive at the centers for registration before the distribution process begins. To the humanitarian coordinator in Cameroon, Allegra Biochi, they come into play as an international community to complement government's efforts and to ensure that the civilians caught up in the violence are being well taken care of.
The UN in Cameroon, but also as humanitarian coordinator, so representing the humanitarian community, to welcome the establishment of the center. I think, as we've heard, the center is very important to us as it will help us work better together, what the humanitarian community is doing and what the government is doing, in recognizing that the government has the primary responsibility to help its people in need, and we have to come in to complement that, but we also have to come in the full respect of our humanitarian principles of impartiality, of neutrality. And this is what we talked about and how we can work better together. Our single goal is to help the civilians that are caught up in the violence and are in need. We know that there's a lot of people who are no longer access to health, of course the access to school, and working in very poor shelter conditions. So we once again reaffirm that this is what unites us today, and making sure that we can work better together to help all the civilian people that are in need of assistance and of protection. Thank you.
Concluding his working session, the minister, foreign partners and other officials made their way to the humanitarian center to examine how the center has been running so far, as well as introduce the laid down principles to the center. With more than 20 partners in ground, both governmental and non-governmental organizations, Minister Atanganji told them to ensure that they are legalized organizations and have registered documents. Everyone was advised to always verify information properly before sending out to the public and to equally avoid social media fake news. The MINAT boss reiterated on the need for the terrorists to drop their weapons and return home and benefit from the many opportunities kept in place for them by the head of state.